Just a moment as I finish setting it up. Well, I started even a minute early. Oh, that's me. Just a moment. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Setting it up. Boop. I started even a minute early. Okay. Oh, and then I need a cup. Okay. As people show up here, I'm just going to, I should take that off. I'm going to cut up some clay to, it fell off and then I moved it. Cut up some clay, make some balls for the demos. Hello. And then when more people are here, we'll start the big talks, right? Room down here for the balls. Okay, well, we're going to get right to it. It is now officially 7:01, so we're past the time here. The first thing, let's deal with some of the last week's stuff, right? You guys wrecked a bunch of clay? Gave it a shot? Threw it till you wrecked it? Made some messes of winning? I saw a lot of pictures. That's all good. We haven't done bowls yet. I don't know who's making bowls. That's all crazy talk. One of the questions from this week was about posture. And I am not an orthopedic, specialist at all. I listen to my body and I do things for myself. But I know from other students and people that have taken my classes that are physical therapists and ortho people, that everybody's different and everybody has different requirements and standards for pain and stuff. Some of the things that I can tell about my wheel setup for me, and that might be a starting point for you, are that my knees are just a little bit lower than the splash pan and about an inch or so, 2 inches taller than the wheel head. And that's when I put my arm on my leg that I can reach, well, not so much with my stool the way it is. Normally, in a beginner studio setup, I would have it so that you could put your arm on your leg and you'd be able to reach the wheel head. That's just not how I throw here, I guess. This wheel would have to be down lower. My feet, I do not have a brick. Some people have to have or want to have a brick on their left side. My foot pedal is on my right, so it is up a little bit higher, and I find that doesn't bother me much. I want to get as close to the wheel as I can so that my knees are just about to the center point of the wheel. And the stool that I have, in terms of height, it puts my legs there, but it's also not flat. And because of the camera stuff, I'm not going to be able to show you easily, but the back two legs of the stool are up about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the front. And that makes the plane of the stool tilt forward a little bit, and it tilts your pelvis so that you're not bending from your lower back. You're almost straight up and still over the wheel. That makes sense? If you don't have an adjustable stool, you can put a couple boards underneath the back. When you first do it, you'll feel like you're falling onto your piece, but it'll get better. Pottery shouldn't hurt, but you're using things that, you might not use as much. So your fingers are going to get tired. Your back is going to get tired. Your hands, arms, all those things are going to get tired. And you'll build up some endurance for those. And it should, hopefully, be less painful as you go. So today, in terms of things that we really need to cover, are the next steps in the making process. So we've thrown it till we wrecked it, and I want you to continue to do that. Like, don't stop wrecking them. You know, for every 2 that you do the next step to, wreck 2 still. But the next step is going to be taking a piece, making a cylinder, cutting the skirt off, scraping the slip off, and we're going to practice picking them up and moving them. Now, picking them up isn't to keep them, because I would like you to then cut them in half. But I want you to pick them up so we can practice that next step, because it is a hard step to get, but it's one of the really important ones that, you know, you'll have a collection of people that will skip it in any way possible. And really, it's going to save so much time and energy and everything going further on if you learn how to do it right away and learn it on stuff that isn't important, like the stuff we're making right now. All right, so let's get this centered. Going up, going down, going up, going down. Debbie, I don't know exactly what you were trying to say there. It's hard to it's hard to cut something that actually looks okay. Yeah, I get that. I'm not forcing anybody. I can't make anybody do it. But cutting it is going to take away some of that pressure of not doing the assignment. So what I want you to is really pick every piece up. And if you know you're going to cut it in half, you'll take a little more risk in picking it up. And you're going to mess them up, and that's okay. I want to make it so that you're free to make mistakes. And if I'm having you keep them right now, then you're going to make mistakes, or you're not going to make as many mistakes. So we've got it gumdrop shaped. I'm going to open it up with the side of my finger. Thumb runs parallel. Hot dog bun and hot dog. Push in till I'm 1/3 of an inch from the bottom. You're going to measure that with your needle tool. Well, sort of, but that's not the primary thing. The primary thing is so that people will actually will take the risks. Well, we're gonna do all of that. We're gonna talk about all of that. So I'm gonna slide over, hold on to my hand, slide over towards 3. Maintain that depth. Slide back, flatten it out. Oh, let it inside and out, top to bottom. C's for cookie, crampy finger. I heard a lot of positive things today and during the week here about C's for cookie, crampy finger, that it helped, that people were able to get a little more height, a little more evenness, pull stuff. That's good. That's good. C's for cookie, crampy finger. I want to make sure that this angle is up. Tendency to push it too far like this, and that's what causes the ripping off. So hold it upright, squeeze together, and move up and towards the middle. Now, like today, we're going to practice some stuff that's a little bit more new. I'm going to do another pull, and we're going to be left with a straight-walled cylinder. However you get to yours is okay. If it's shorter, that's fine, but we want to get to something like this. Shoot for soup cans. If you don't get a soup can, that's okay. Remember, pull some till you wreck it, get some to this point, and then stop. Oop, I forgot one thing. I forgot the tool, because I didn't think about it yet. Yeah, I know, I'm flexing on you. I got a sponge on a stick. So, first thing you want to do is cut the skirt off. And I'm not going to be able to do the best video as I possibly can from this point of view and everything. So, I'm going to give you the abbreviated version. And then tomorrow morning, like I did last week, I think that works best for me. Getting done with this and then going to find links and putting them all together doesn't work as well. In the morning, I will put together the links for more on centering and taking pots off the wheel. That shows a really good example of how to use this. But for right now, you're going to hold it like a pencil with the blade side up. Left hand is going to go underneath. You're going to start with a point against the wheel head. A lot of people will start above and then try to go in, and that's really hard to control. I'm going to start right against the wheel head. I'm going to twist it and angle it a little bit. With the wheel spinning, I'm going to go towards the clay. I'm going to get a little cut off. Sometimes you'll have it build up around the outside edge, and then you just come above and drop through it and scrape it off. That's to get the skirt off. Scrape the slip off. We've got the flexible metal rib of death. No, well, Carolyn, that's where you just say, I am going to go to the middle, and if I wreck this ball of clay, I wreck that ball of clay. If I wreck the next ball of clay, I wreck that too. But go towards the middle. Don't give it an option to go up. Right? Yeah. It's just dirt in a circle. Nice, so I'm going to wet the inside. It's important that the inside is wet when you have this tool. You don't need to wet the rib, ever. You don't need to wet the rib. How often do you wet the rib? Never. Okay, so we got our rib. I'm going to put my hand on the inside. I'm going to push just a little bit out and a little bit in with the rib. So out, I'm pushing out, and I'm pushing in against the rib, and I'm scraping the slip off the piece. The slip is what would make your piece really hard to pick up. You remove the slip, we're really easy to pick it up now. Okay, let me answer some questions here before we go too much further. Yeah, we're gonna do mugs, but we've got a few weeks before we get to mugs. We got a bit. Let's work on cylinders and making these just right first. Then when we get that and we get the trimming and the centering and all that, then we will go back and we'll start handles. I find pulling over to 3 o'clock takes a lot of force, and sometimes I am uncentering my piece. Well, we're going to talk about that towards the end of this instructional video about how to take a video of yourself, kind of what's important, and then you're going to end up posting videos, because it's a lot easier for me to look at a video and go, that's what you're doing wrong, than for me to guess from a written out description. Right? Right. Okay. I've scraped the slip. I'm going to get the water out of the inside, use my sponge and a stick, mop that water up. Now, if you've noticed, as I'm pulling, I have not mopped up any water at all during the process. And I don't expect you to either. By the time you're ready to start taking pieces off, the amount of time that you're working, it doesn't matter how long that water sat in there. If it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's not going to make a difference at all. It's not. You don't have to worry about it. Just at the end. Then you're going to take your wire tool. Now, how we hold the wire tool is, it seems like it'd be pretty simple. You just kind of wrap it around your finger a bunch. But no, if you wrap it around your finger, then you're going to end up kinking your wire. See how my wire's nice and even still? Oop, and I just done whacked my pot with it. What I want is to keep it that way. So I'm going to put put the wire between my fingers and let the toggle catch. So I'm going to wrap it around the base of my hand there. My other hand, I've got it, so I'm holding the wire and the toggles bumping into the back of my hand. That'll give me a chunk between my thumbs here. I'm going to push down, I'm going to pull towards myself. That's it, just once. I'm not putting a bunch of water under here. I've actually scraped that dry with the wooden knife. My hands, I'm going to scrape off on the edge of my sharp bucket that I had you get, right? We got a nice sharp bucket. Start right against the wheel head. I'm going to touch all the way around. I'm going to pick it up. Okay. Seems pretty good, right? Seems pretty easy. What you will likely do it to begin with is you're going to take your hands, you're going to go like this, and you're going to go just straight across. If you go just straight across, you're going to turn your piece into a terku. And we don't want terkus. What you want to be able to do is close your hands like that. So as they're coming together, they're also closing. So everything that's coming in contact is moving towards the middle. And that'll let you pick it up fairly cleanly. Because you've scraped your hands, there aren't any big, wet, slimy prints on your pot either. I think people worry about that. Once you've picked it up, you're going to set it on something. Have your something ready before you pick your piece up. In our case here, I don't have any boards with me because I'm just going to cut these in half. I'm going to set it down, and then you're going to cut it. Take your wire tool, run it down, hold it the same way like you would pulling through. I'm going to go through. Wiggle a little bit to make you get sure through as much of it as you can. And there we go. we have our pot cut in half. That's all we're shooting for. Again, cutting it in half is going to make sure that you are a little more dangerous, a little more adventurous in taking it off. If you make a great piece and you're so proud of it, and you haven't picked up your pot yet, you're going to leave it on the bat and you're going to pick the bat up. And that would be a loss this week. That would be a failure to fulfill your duties. And we'll talk about reclaim too. I didn't put that on the list. Man, we got lots of stuff to do today. Any questions about scraping the slip off and removing the pot? Again, this is the little demo-y bit. I'm going to post the YouTube video that has a better description of multiple camera angles on how to do that. But I'm pausing here for a second if there are questions about what I just did and anything from last week. I would have trimmed the bottom of that, and that was actually a little thicker than I normally throw. We're going to go thinner than, well, I go thinner than that, but we don't want to go too much thicker than that. That causes a bunch of other issues. Just a moment of pause. We're waiting for people to type up their questions. This is a Soldner S100. It's the bestest wheel that you can get. It's not the most expensive wheel, but it is the best one. Okay, so we'll go on to the next stuff. Next stuff is reclaim. So you could have been messing up your pots, right? And when you mess up your pots, you will end up with a bucket of this stuff. This is my bucket of stuff. Now, I talked about having it ready to reclaim today, but I'm not ready to reclaim. I don't really have enough to make it effective. So I'm going to scrape off the stuff that I do have in here. We got this mush of stuff. And on this mush of stuff, let me scrape off the rest of this, is wetter than what we need. We're not worrying about shaping yet. Narrowing the base, that's going to happen a little bit later. I know we're all very anxious to make things, and it happens. I know you're anxious. I want you to be excited, but I also want you to be as successful as possible. And the pace that I'm going here is how I know the best way to get you as successful as possible. Yeah. So I have been leaving my stuff out. You know, I've had it in the bucket, but every once in a while I'll open that bucket up so it dries up some. It is probably a little stiffer than yours if you've just been throwing it in. What you can do in that case is we'll talk about that. Well, I'm going to do this first. I'm going to go through this part first. I'm going to take this. I'm going to We're going to do something called slam wedging, but we're not going to go all the way into a whole slam wedge. This is just to kind of mix it up, a pre-mix, because that porcelain was really soft and my other stuff is just a little bit harder. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to tilt that on its side. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it on its side. And I'm going to squish it on top. Boop. Right? So now we've got like layers started. We're going to turn that on its side. We're going to cut it, or however you need to do it. But what you want to do is make sure you put the layers so that they're stacking up. Right? And well, we're going to do it this way because it's starting to get long. Boop. But it does the same thing. And you just keep kind of doing that. And those layers start to homogenize the clay some, right? Yeah, they're the same cone. But once you blend it all up, it works. It works together. And because we want this to kind of homogenize in the bucket, if this was getting closer to how wet we want it to be, I would pat it all down, I'd stick it back in the bucket, and I'd leave it like this. If yours is really wet, and we can pretend this is really, really wet, we can make rainbows in the studio. So you're pretty much going to take and squeeze out the clay until you get a little rainbow. And you put that on a table somewhere. That gives it a lot of surface area to start to dry up. But you got to check it often. If it gets too dry, you'll have hard spots. And we're trying to avoid hard spots. Okay, so you get that right. Next week, I will hopefully have my plaster bat here. And the last way to get the rest of the water out is to use a plaster bat or a piece of concrete board, something that's absorbent, that when you put the clay on it, it sucks the water out. You can use a bisque, like platter or something too, but you guys probably don't have a whole lot of bisque platters hanging around yet. Okay? I'm trying to do it like the easy way first. The simplest way. Yeah, we don't want canvas because of the dust. For regular wedging, like out of the bag kind of wedging, where the surface doesn't need to be super absorbent, I use plywood. But for reclaiming, let's call what we're going to be doing with our next surface is called reclaiming. And reclaiming requires something that's absorbent. And a concrete floor can work if it's nice and clean. If there's any kind of debris, you're going to end up picking that up in your clay and make a mess. Well, if you don't mix it to one color, you can get issues with cracking and stuff. But, I mean, you can try it. If it works, it works. Things like that, I can't give you great advice because it takes doing it to know for sure. Drywall board ends up becoming really mushy. If it absorbs water, it becomes mushy and you can peel the paper off. And that's not great. If you know how to cast cement, it's a great surface. It's durable. You know, you don't want to do a whole concrete thing. You could put sand in it to kind of stretch the concrete or the cement a little bit. It doesn't have to be just straight Portland. The thing is, you want to have it so that the surface is shiny and blemish free, because you're going to want to scrape on it, and we don't want any concrete getting into the clay. I would not mix different cones of clay. Keep it to one cone and stay with that. I would not add rebar. It's not going to freeze or anything. Make it a few inches thick. You know, I've got plaster that's been around 20 years, and it's not reinforced or anything, and it's still fine. You don't want plasterboard. You want the cement board, the concrete board. And you can get that at any hardware store. That's like the easiest way. That's the simplest. I mean, it could be, but I don't know enough about concrete to tell you that for sure. I've always mixed stuff with Portland, which, you know, usually play sand would work. I've never done it just Portland. It's always had sand or some other pebble kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to put that back in my bucket. You get the idea with the reclaim there? Next is talking about the video. The main purpose of the group is to be able to share video, and part of that, I know the group has gotten a little bigger, and so far, you know, you guys are all very nice to each other. You know, there aren't a bunch of professional potters, and I would say if anybody says anything remotely mean in here or judgmental, they're out. There's no discussion. Nobody's paid to be here. You know, there's just one rule, like, just learn. So if somebody's being a jerk about something, they're just gone. Anywho, yeah, so far, I just want to make sure. So posting videos of your progress or of you making mistakes is a really important part of me being able to help you. And I don't want anybody to feel scared about doing that. I don't want anybody to have any apprehension to post a video of them throwing and making a mistake. Because I'm not judging you as a person by your mistake. I'm only evaluating it so that I can give you recommendations so that you can get better quicker. Videoing it isn't super hard. It's a pretty simple thing. I have a little stand thing that I grip my phone with and all that, but you can use a cup. You can put your phone in the cup so that the camera's sticking out of the top, and you can stick it on top of a bucket, and pretty much the important part is the wheel. You want it on the side that you're throwing, so if you end up, for whatever reason, throwing at 9 o'clock, make sure I can see the 9 o'clock side. If you're throwing at 3 o'clock, make sure I can see the 3 o'clock side. I want to be able to see this outside hand. All right? And when you make a video, I know it's hard to know when you're making a mistake or something, but if you know you're having issues with this part, don't show me all the stuff in the beginning up to that point. If you can clip the video, if you can edit it just a little so that you're showing the part that you're having the issue, it'll save me a lot of time. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm not going to be like, I hate your video, you're stupid and you're never allowed to do this again. No, I might comment and be, hey, cut the video down to make it a little easier on me. And if you don't cut it down the next time, guess what? I'm not going to be angry then either. I know you're not video editing people. I'm barely a video editing people. It's going to be okay. Yeah, that's primarily it. I don't know. I mean, I've gotten a little more lax in it. And if I did see something that was really wrong, I would correct it, kind of like I do everywhere else. But yeah, if you don't know the answer, if it's an opinion question, like, do you like this? Sure, answer away. Have a ball. But if it's a question like, how am I holding my hands right? And if you don't know for sure, 100% absolutely positive, just don't answer. I'll get to it. I'll find that question and I will answer it. But if we started the group originally so that I didn't have to explain over anybody. I didn't have to undo an explanation that somebody else had made. In other groups, that's fine, and I do it when I have the chance, or I feel compelled, or I can tell that person is willing to absorb information rather than just regurgitate it. But for here, yeah, if there are some people that have joined for their students, they want to learn how to teach to their students, and I think that they are here to watch, that they're not so much here to help. I've got this. If the group gets too big, it won't. I like teaching, so it's fine. Okay. Yeah, well, but I understand that, if I don't answer a question right away, I can see how people would be compelled to help that person, a little bit quicker. But it's not, it's not the reason this exists. It exists so that I have all the control and I can do all the helping or something. Is it okay to post the link for a reclaiming wedging table? Sure. Is it a good one? A question. Did you cast it so that the surface that you'd be going on, working on, is cast on something like glass or smooth plastic? If it's an upside down casted whatever, please post that. If it's a right side up casted one, that's not the best way I'd have somebody do it. I would rather have them get concrete board than cast it right side up. Only because how many issues. Okay, good. Yeah, post that. Post the link. That'd be fine. And the last thing, what was the last thing? There was one more thing. We did that. Oh, the assignment! I did that right in the beginning. Because there isn't a perfect height. You can keep moving it around, but I did that, and I do have a video I'll put in the collection of links that I post tomorrow morning. I do have a pottery wheel throwing and posture video, and I made that one with the help of a potter that knew a lot more about body anatomy than I did at the time. And I'm not sure if I still believe everything I did in that video. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And I've talked to a lot of people since then. We won't be dealing with wedging yet, Cheryl. Not yet. I'm going to, but that's for later. I promise we will deal with it though. I'm going to wait till I have my plaster here so I can show you on my plaster. We're getting the clay ready, and I don't quite have enough to make it worth it yet. You know, we got to have about 20 pounds for the process to really work well. What was the last? I keep trying to remember it, and then I remember it, and then I don't do it yet. Oh yeah, the homework. The homework for next week is to have, to keep throwing till you wreck it. But let's say 50%, that you might start to get something that looks like a wall, starts to look like a soup can. Don't throw those till you wreck them. Save them. Practice cutting the skirt, scraping the slip, getting the water off, picking it up, and setting it down. So, as a comment to this video, should I do it for the comment for this video? Yeah, as a comment to this video, I think you can post pictures after. Ooh, nope. I take that back. Scratch that. For the link video, post the pictures to that. Try not to post them in the group in general. If you post them in the group in general, it ends up filling up the feed, and it's harder for people to find the lessons. If you post the results of your lesson and stuff that you're working on in the assignment post, then it keeps all the assignments together, and it doesn't fill the feed with people's response to the assignment. So I think last time I said do 4. I would say also get to the point where you cut 4 in half, and just take a picture of that. Cut them in half. Take a picture of them in half. Not on the wheel. Like pick them up and move them. I want you to practice picking them up. If you do pick one up, and you pick it up and you keep it nice and round and perfect, take a picture of that before you cut it. I don't need to see the insides. If you notice, I didn't talk about it being even or being narrow or thin. I don't care. I don't care at all. None. Zero. How many cares? 0 cares how thick your wall is. What I care about is you picking the pieces up. That's the important part for today. Questions. I've got a few balls of clay. If you guys have questions, I've got time to answer them. Come on, little ball of clay. Let's go. So in the morning, because I'm still getting my groove on how this is working too. So in the morning, I will post the assignments and the assignment for this week. I'll give a written out explanation of the assignment. I'll post the links that we talked about in this post in terms of like the cutting the skirt, scraping the slip off, and picking the pieces up. The posture video, and maybe the person who had done the wedging table video would post that as a comment. And you would post the assignments, the pictures of it there. Right. You got it. Yep. You got it. Okay, so we'll do that right now. Are you having an issue going up as you go out or down as you go out? No, it's not okay, Sarah. Don't use anything. You don't need it. And if you start to use things like hair dryers and torches, you're going to end up never believing in yourself enough to pick them up. You actually don't need them. I promise. Yeah, there are good days and bad days, but primarily good days and bad days are dependent on things you are not capable of figuring out yet. So let's say you have a bad day and a good day. Your bad day might be because your clay was too inconsistent, that it might have needed to be wedged, or that there was your bat wasn't on flat. Those kind of things are usually what cause a bad day for somebody, and you just don't know enough yet to know that that's why you had a bad day. Once you gain the skill and you absorb that skill and you can do it, it's never you. And I say that usually as a joke, like it's not you, it's the clay. Always blame the clay first, because usually it is the issue, is the clay. And then if you don't blame the clay, blame the equipment. And if you don't blame the equipment, blame me. Well, Sarah, as you go, everything that happens on the outside is going to get trimmed. So any fingerprint that you do get on it, you would be able to remove. And if you saw the one I picked up, there was nothing left on there. That, you know, scraping your hands off right, you won't need any kind of heating apparatus. Okay. And I missed. Nope, a rubber one will not work. It doesn't have a small enough footprint. It needs that sharp edge to be able to scrape. And I missed a question. Get my mouse all dirty. Yeah, I saved the clay at the bottom of my throwing water. Can you show the point where you transition from the C finger only? Looks like it's hard. So, okay. I might have missed a question there. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about flattening out the bottom first. Flatten out the bottom. Flatterating. Make sure it's centered. Let go slowly. We're going to open it up. Do I wedge clay straight from the bag? No, I do not wedge clay straight from the bag unless something horrible has gone wrong with that bag, or I'm making something big. If you're working on stuff that's like a pound, 2 pounds, you don't need to wedge it. So I am that 1/3 of an inch from the bottom. Now I'm going to turn my fingers on their side. I'm going to push with the side of my finger this way now. I'm going to hold on to my left hand with my right. I'm going to push down a little bit because to maintain that depth as I move across, I'm going to have to put a little downward pressure. Now I'm going to look. I'm watching that. If I go up, I know I needed to put a little more pressure. If I go down, a little less. If it starts to stick, add a little more water. Yeah, there's a reason for doing. Well, let me on the next one, I'll come back to that. C is for cookie, crampy finger. C is for cookie goes on the inside, at the bottom. Crampy finger starts right against the wheel head. Pushing with this part, I'm going to move up and towards the middle. So as I squeeze, I want to be actively going to the middle. Don't go out. Go to the middle. And let go slowly. We'll wet it. Inside and out, top to bottom. Now, when it comes to getting higher and my thumb can't touch my hand, I will put my elbow above the clay when I go up. But I'm still pushing on the inside with my C is for cookie, and on the outside my crampy finger. Make sure you're wetting inside and out, top to bottom. All the surfaces are wet. Now I'm going to make this one much thinner to show the picking up thing. Works with even thin pots. Oh, something we didn't really talk about last week is breathing. And that's because you're not right in front of me. Normally, if I've got a classroom full of beginners, I will be watching and people will be turning blue and falling over and stuff. And I can't see that when you guys are throwing. Yeah, just make sure you're breathing. This shouldn't be that scary. And breathing is one of those like really important things besides throwing it, like for living. So you gotta keep breathing. So I think it was Sarah that was blow drying the side of the pot. I've wet the inside. I'm just gonna scrape with my metal rib of death. And that is gonna remove all the things that are gonna make picking it up hard. Get that slip off. And then for my hands, I had you get a sharp bucket for this reason here. No, in the beginning, it's going to take you a whole lot longer. It's going to take you 5, 6, 10 pulls. Just pull it till you wreck it. And if you do get it in 2 pulls or 3 pulls, that's fine. But don't shoot. Don't shoot for how I'm throwing right now. I should probably try to like make it look worser, but it's hard to make it look worser. Are you using your pointer finger or your middle finger for the C is for cookie? Ideally, I'm using the pad of my middle finger and my ring finger. Because when I'm in the bottom of the pot, my hands are angled like this. So they are right at the bottom. This one doesn't get close enough to the bottom. So if I started pushing with that one, I'd be missing all that clay underneath it. Well, you can make it, like I can make a pot in 2 pulls. But I don't have to. I can do it in 4 pulls. And that's I'm no worserer to do it in that many. But, you know, efficiency matters later on. In the beginning here, it doesn't matter. You're pulling it till you wreck it. That's fine. And you're just trying to pick it up. And you're just trying to pick it up and set it down without messing it up. Oh, so yeah. So my hands are dirty, right? Dirty hands. I'm going to take them and scrape them on my bucket. Now, if you use that sharp edge of your bucket, you pretty much scrape them all the way clean. Right? Hands against the wheel head, a little bit of pressure. Oh, I gotta cut it. You can't pick it up without cutting it. We're not worried about lopsided lips yet. It does not matter yet. So we're gonna deal with that, but we're not dealing with it yet. And it will matter later on, but not right now. All right. Yeah, wheel should be stopped when you cut it off. Yep. I'm gonna press down against the wheel head. Little push, whoop, whoop, pick it up. Okay? And I'm going to set it back down so you can see that, okay, I do have a little slip there and a little bit there, but that's all going to go away by the time it dries. 1, you probably won't see it. 2, we're going to end up trimming pretty much that whole part, so you won't see it. We'll cut this one in half. Right? Okay. And then, because you scraped the slip off, we've got the water out of the bottom. They're a lot closer to being ready to reclaim, too. There's a lot less water that's gotten sucked up on them. Okay, so this one, L, there was something about centering, and I knew I wasn't going to remember. Then you're still here, so it was coning down. Okay. Coning down. Why do we do it with one hand and not the other? And that's because of the way the wheel rotates. And there are, you know, a lot of different ways to center clay. And there are people that do the left hand down and then the karate chop kind of push, this kind of style. And the reason, you know, we don't do that kind of style, I'm not sure if that's how you're pushing down or not. What it does is it folds this clay over on itself and ends up trapping stuff in between those layers. So I try not to have people do it like that. The reason I do it the way I've been showing with the coning up and then pushing down this way is that when I push forward, and I'm going to do this without I'm going to do one more cone up and cone down so that it's evener-ish, so that when I do this I don't look like an idiot. I have a cone up here. I'm going to do it without my right hand on it at all. When I push forward, the clay is going to go like this. Now the rotation is going to take it, and as it goes down like that, it's going to get pushed into my hand. When you do it this way, it's getting pushed out of your hand. When it's getting pushed into your hand, your left hand is more active in the centering process, and it takes a lot of strain or a lot of effort off of your right hand for driving it into the middle. Going down with this one, it doesn't do that as much. It's now, especially if you're pushing forward. If you're just pushing down, it doesn't matter. It's all anyways. But if you're pushing down this way, your hand, it's spinning out of your hand rather than into your hand. So like I can center by just pushing down with my left because it catches it. It'd be a lot harder to do that with my right. If you cone up or down, if you cone, okay, let's say you're coning up and your wrists are together and you're pushing forward. It doesn't happen often, but it can, that you're actually lifting up a part of the clay as you're pushing away. And that edge is letting air get underneath, and that air becomes, the best explanation I have is an elephant butt. And that elephant butt ends up kind of squirting air, farting, it does an opposite fart. It farts in, and it puts air into the clay. Oh, that's gross. Yeah. Or you could be catching it by a volcano. If you're leaving a volcano at the top and closing it in, you can catch air that way. Or if you're allowing the clay to fold over on itself, you can catch air that way as well. Now I'm going to, for shits and giggles, try it with my right. Yeah. So the right, I mean, granted, I don't have as much practice doing it with my right there, but I'm having to apply force in a way that rather than it going into my hand, I'm trying to like finesse a catch where it's coming out. That's a little too hard. Why do you cone versus holding them out? So, has anybody watched the Moron Centering? I think I posted the link last week. And I do a cutaway of what happens in the clay as we're coning up and coning down. And coning it, all right. Everybody pause for a second, take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out, because this is going to get a little thick here. That any inconsistency in our clay, which all clay, no matter how well we've wedged and everything, is going to have some inconsistency. When we cone up and down, we're actually taking that inconsistency. If we can imagine that our inconsistency is a straight chunk of something, right? And it's thud, 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 thud every time it comes around. If we were to pull on that thud, thud, thud would end up making the rest of our experience with the clay miserable. What we want is to take this inconsistency and stretch it out so it's pretty much horizontal. And coning up and coning down, and the way I'm showing you, like by pushing it forward and not just pushing down, ends up twisting that variation in the clay into a horizontal band. So as it's spinning, once, every time it goes around, rather than having that inconsistency be a thud, 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 it's now smooth and even. And allows you to pull with a lot less having to finagle the pressure because of a bump or a thud or something in there. So someone asked about, Peter asked about loading it up with water. And all the acts that we work, coning up, coning down, pulling, and pulling and pulling and pulling, all are going to add time to how long we're working. It's common to think that, we're not supposed to use water, that if we don't use water, then the clay will be fine. And really, it's the amount of time that we're working on the clay, and not so much the amount of water. So if your process takes a half hour to make a cylinder, by the time you're done with that cylinder clay is going to be whooped. It's going to be tired, it's going to be really wet, soggy, and like a wet cardboard box. If you work quickly, you can use all the water that you want. So can you cone up and down too much? Yes. But don't think about like the water part. Just think about it being tired. Yeah, like collecting the slip from your hands. It's stuff we talked about that first week, and I'm not going to go over everything that I said in prior weeks, only because we've done it once. We don't need to hear it over and over again. But yeah, collecting the slip that you use rather than scraping it. Some people are taught like each pass to get all the water out of the bottom, to clean the wheel off. to like sterilize their clay before they make a pull. And really, all the stuff that you're collecting while centering and everything, you should put that right back on. Unless it's got a big chunk in it. If it's got a big goober in it, you can toss that stuff. But primarily, you shouldn't be getting goobers. Yep, we talked about Mom Morph. Yeah, if you watch the beginning, I go over it a little bit, and then tomorrow morning I'll post the link to the video that I did a long time ago. And I mean, you might not, you probably will never heard of but there was a Canadian artist that worked with us in college. He came in, and he really great guy. His name is Les Manning, and he passed away. Ooh, did he pass away? Crap. There's been a lot of crazy stuff happen this year. I believe he passed away, and he was battling a long time with dementia, and you know, he wasn't dead when he had dementia, but he wasn't Les, and Les had done a lot with posture and everything. And there's some things that, you know, as I'm teaching, are things that what Les had taught me. Like my stool being tilted. That was a Les. Hot dog? So you've got your 2 fingers and your thumb runs parallel to those. So these are your buns, that's your hot dog. Yeah, no problem, Don. Yeah, we went over the crampy finger versus fingertip. Fingertip is just more distance, which means more leverage, more to control between the contact point and where you are. And I mean, there are more, but that was in the other video, the last live video. Is my stool tilted? Yes. The stool is about 2 inches taller in the back than in the front. I don't know. Do I? I don't consider. I mean, I know we're talk. You know, it's compression. I call it pinchy squishy. So I'm pinching a little bit and squishing, and it's mostly not to pinch or squish it. I'm just checking it for level and flat. I'm not really doing that much, and probably don't need to do it at all. It's just a habit. No, we didn't go over how to keep a rim from ripping off. If your clay is ripping off, it's that you've probably slowed down how fast you're pulling up, or you haven't decreased the pressure of your pull. When you pull up, you start with the most amount of pressure, and then as you go, you're going to slowly release that pressure. If you pull with the same pressure as you did at the bottom all the way through the top, you're going to end up bunching that clay up, and it's going to rip off. There isn't the right answer, Casey. There's too many variations person to person. I can tell you the way mine is, but mine isn't set up for the way I would have it set up for a beginner. If it was a beginner, I would have the wheel down a little lower so that my arm could be on my leg before it hit the splash pan. Right now, my splash pan is high enough that my arm hits the splash pan before it hits the wheel head. So I would probably have the wheel lower so that my arm would be on my leg. Casey, I wish there was like a better answer I could give. When we start to do the videos and people start posting videos, if you have a concern like about your posture, where you're sitting, how you're sitting at your wheel, don't just cut into the short little part here. You can even take a picture, put the camera back a little bit, be where you're going to be, and based on where your shoulders are in relation to the wheel, your knees, the angle of your legs and your hips, I might be able to find some, but I'm not an ortho. You know, I'm not a physical therapist, and I don't want to give anybody an exact you know, like this is how you do it, because it's not going to be right for everybody. My wheel, oh, Casey, I think you had asked about the posture stuff, right? My, let's not think about the wheel itself as a height. My stool is tilted though. And I think that's the most important thing out of any of the things that I'm going to be able to say, is that my stool, the back legs are about 1 inch or 2 taller than the front legs. So it tilts my pelvis forward so that it takes strain off my lower back. Well, Carla, they're not staying wet long enough because you haven't gotten the technique right yet. The reason we don't use a sponge is because the amount of surface area that it puts on the pot, which creates a lot more drag. It creates a lot more drag than if you were to use your fingers the right way. And you'll get that eventually if you practice it. If you have the sponge in your hand, you're having to hold on to something and pinch, grab, grasp, use effort to hold that sponge. You're also probably holding it so that it's at the end of your fingertips, which is the whole fingertip versus the knuckle thing. But if you're able to hold the sponge at your knuckle, you're also removing the smallest particles of clay. You're causing more drag, which is stretching the clay more, twisting it up more, which when we're centering is good, but when we've got a wall, it's bad. And it's a matter of wetting it evenly and not sticking around. So if I wet top to bottom, the whole surface, I'm going to stay lubricated unless for some reason I take it off. So I'm wet top to bottom, inside and out, start at the bottom, squeeze together, and move up. As I go, the slip is going to be building up in that little crooked part of my finger there. And it's because of where it is. Oh, I can't go back to where I was. Because of how the pot is, it's just re-lubricating as I go. It's taking that and just pushing it on in front. Well, I would say you're ram's head wedging. That's what you're doing wrong. We haven't really talked about wedging yet, but we've got a couple minutes. We got a couple minutes. I'll grab my. Oh, I didn't get the water out. Not doing this right at all. Oh no. Oh yeah, that was the air bubbles and posture stuff. Well, I think yours is going to be an issue that I'm only gonna be able to solve through seeing it, because I don't know why, if everything else was equal, which it might not be. Maybe you got different clay. It would be hard to know why you're getting air bubbles. Are you using a masonite bat or a plaster bat? Let me wash and dry my hands to show you the wedging. You hear that hot water heater? Woo! And we got warm water again. Yeehaw! Okay. Oh, crap. I'm going to get dirty again. I just washed it. So plaster. Yeah, see, that's further shooting down my ideas. Have you given your clay beans? Okay. We got a chunk of clay. Now normally I would wedge standing up at a table, but we can do this here. We can do it enough here. So typically when you're making a ram's head and it gets too long, it's because you're just pushing straight forward. I'll turn my wheel off. And as you push straight forward, it ends up becoming long. For a ram's head, what you want is to take this corner and push it towards the middle. So when I'm at the top, I'm taking those two parts and I'm pushing them into the middle. And that will keep your ram's head from getting long. But we aren't doing wedging yet, so don't worry about it if other people are wedging. No, masonite isn't bad at all. But there are rare instances where centering on a masonite bat can pull air through the bat and into the clay. I swear it happens. You don't believe me? I know you don't believe me. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but it happens. It won't happen in a plastic bat, though. Only elephant butt will happen in a plastic one. I'll put it right in the slip. Okie dokie. Did that answer the ram's head question-y thingy? Because it's now 8 o'clock. I've put my mandatory community service of an hour. That's the only reason why I do these videos. It's part of my probation. Let's see. What kind of bats do I recommend? For throwing, for normal throwing stuff, plastic bat. If for some reason we are doing plates or really wide, shallow bowls, it would be masonite. But plastic for everything else because we're going to try to pick them up. How many pots can I throw in an hour? Just for shits and giggles? Yeah, all the videos will be watchable afterwards. When I do empty bowls, I can throw 30 bowls in an hour. If I'm throwing off the hump, I can throw about, oh, well, I don't know about anymore. I used to be able to throw 120 or so bowls off the hump in an hour. But for now, I don't worry about that stuff anymore. I take my time and I go as slow as I can, and I work each piece with thought for the work itself and not try to make things quickly. But so now, you know, I make, I don't know, what is it, 10, 12 cans in an hour, and that's fine for me. I enjoy that pace. Vocabulary test. You know, maybe towards the end we'll give some prizes out, and the prizes will be based on your vocabulary test. Well, I've got this chunk of clay here. Throwing off the hump is working from a mound of clay, and you're working from the top part. So you kind of roughly center the bottom. You segment a little section off, you open it up, and you pull this part as the piece. And then you would end up cutting it off. And this is how we would make lids and stuff. A needle tool. And if you don't care so much about, you know, the bottoms of them, you don't have to cut them. You can actually just swoop, hit the lip. You can just run in until you pinch it off. Can I show you a slow cut? I guess so. Well, we're not supposed to be doing this. This is beyond what we're supposed to do right now. But I'll make a quick lid, right? Yeah, if your wheel goes slow, you can't throw that fast. So we'll do an upside down lid. So I'm going to make the well, drop an edge down, leave a bump, push in, get my part, go underneath so it sucks the bottom in. Oh, I was supposed to do one that's cut. Next one, right? That'll be our little lid. Oh no, I gotta cut slow, gotta cut slow, gotta cut slow. Cut, 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 don't make a lid. Open it up. Okay, so we got our little bowl. I'm going to take my needle tool. I'm going to hold the needle so it's level with the wheel head. I'm going to take my left hand, my my pointer finger, and my thumb. I'm going to put a little pressure so that when I cut through, it stops it from spinning. I'm going to lift up with the needle tool and those two fingers. I'm going to turn it upside down so you can kind of see how they're looking underneath. And I'm going to switch to my finger, pull the needle tool out, set my needle tool down, scrape, and then set it down like that. Whee! Ah! And this is how you make little tiny pots too. You know, some people want to make little tiny things. Maybe my parole will be shorter because I'm spending extra time. I'll get good behavior. Little pot. Okay. So assignments will be posted in the morning. Now that clay is all mushy again. Yeah, we haven't gotten to that point yet where I show you how to trim the top. But yes, we can do that. And we will do that, I promise. It's just little bits at a time we add. Add a little bit to a little bit at a time. You're welcome, guys and girls. Yeah, well, I mean, today I was asked about another person who does instructional stuff, you know, and they were saying, you know, how come you don't charge for this stuff? How come you're not doing what they do? You know, they're buying a house with the money that they're making from doing these kind of things. And it's not the kind of person I am. I don't. I mean, I could totally charge from this. I could be, you know, teasing you with these little things and then coming up with ways to make you have to keep buying stuff and watching the videos, and I would just feel like a shitty person. I don't like feeling like a shitty person, so I try not to do things like that. Because really, if let's say I did charge, you know, while we're here doing the cleanup thing, let's say I was to charge, and that every week it would be $1. Eventually I would get to a point where I am relying upon that dollar from everybody. And to maintain your allegiance of paying me that dollar, I would end up having to tease you or trick you or, you know, do things to manipulate you into continuing to give me that dollar. And I don't want to do that to anybody. What I end up I like to do is that I give you everything. I give you it all. Have everything that I can give you, take it all. And when you have the opportunity or can to give it back, you do it then. It's not a requirement to get as much as I can give you. Money isn't a requirement for that. You don't have to pay me anything. It's just better for my soul doing it that way. Beginners, a smooth white clay, anything smooth and white. If you've got Laguna in your area, 65 is a great clay. B-Mix 5, if you're doing cone 5, is a good clay. Well, I mean, it might take away my joy in teaching, but it wouldn't take away my boat joy, because then I could buy another motor for the tiny boat, and I could be like, "Arr!" And that gives me a whole lot of face joy. Face joy. And then you get it. I mean, and if you don't get it, that's okay. It's really about my parole officer, Agent Lawrence. You know, if I don't keep him happy, I'm gonna go back in the slammerdoodle. And I didn't do well in the slammerdoodle. You have 7 broken boats. No. Clean up and boat talk is fine, right? So I have a plywood boat that my father and I built a few years ago called a mini most. It's a 8-foot hydroplane, and 8 foot of boat is very small. It's a very, very small boat, and we have a 15-horse 4-stroke on it, which is too heavy for the boat. So anytime I'm in it, it's pretty much just about to sink, but it'll go 33 miles an hour, which is an absolute riot. And I'll take it out in any weather. I've sank it. Well, I haven't sank it. I've flipped it. I've rolled it. I have had to swim back to shore, which was a good, 3/4 mile pushing a boat in the water swim. If Agent Lawrence lets me leave the state. Typically, if I let him know, he'll let me go. I haven't. Well, no, was I in New Mexico? How close is New Mexico to Arizona? That's close, right? Well, I don't do it for the dinners. I do it so you guys make better pots. Oh, yeah, pontoons are better for some things, for sure. Unless it's for just going giggly. Because, man, there's nothing more giggly than Tim on a boat. So I might have been in New Mexico. It touches California, too. I'm always wearing jeans. I like this narrative. I like the narrative that I'm a convicted something, and that I have to do pottery lessons as my community service. That works for me. It's what all my high school teachers would have believed. Okay, I think we're done, guys. Tomorrow morning will be the whatchamacallits thingies. 30 fishies! That's a lot of fishies! Blop, blop, blops. Okay, bye-bye!